Hi everyone, this is Lisa Cronin from It's the Little Things in Card Making, and I thought it was time that we got personal. I'm talking about personalizing cards. Now, I'm going to show you how I figured out what works best for me. And there's a little tracing involved, transferring one thing onto another. First, let me say that I think that writing, not necessarily on the card, but writing on tags and banners and signs makes it a little less stressful, because if your card is already made and then you're just adding a sign, or you're adding a banner or a tag or a label, and you screw it up, you're not screwing up the card, you're just screwing up the label. So that's what I felt was probably the least stressful. So my cards at this point pretty much all have labels or tags or banners. So this is a card that I made, very cute little card, and I personalized it with the name Fama. And again, if I was going to screw up, I was just going to screw up the sign. I wasn't going to screw up the card. And how I did it was, first of all, I printed out some fonts, because I thought that using the computer would probably be the best way to do this. And if I knew what the name was going to be and I had an idea in my head as to what the design of the card was going to be, I would print out the whole name. If I wasn't sure and I knew I'd be working and doing quite a few cards, I printed out some simple fonts. And I'm saying simple fonts because they're all kind of like one-lined fonts. And there's no real, double lines. There's no calligraphy looking fonts that I'm using, only because that would require a different type of foiling. So, like I said, I just printed out what I thought was just simple lines that we could follow to create a name or a sentiment on a card. So the way that I did it was, and I'll show you Fama. So what I did with Fama was I printed out the name onto a piece of paper. Then I knew I needed to figure out what I was going to place it on, how big I wanted the name to be. And I took my negative space for this sign, and that negative space was actually the window of one of the house dies. I don't know if you saw my builder house die video, but there was a die there that cut out windows and frames, and this is the inside of the window. So I took the frame and I traced it out. And in everything that I'm doing, I'm using the negative space to give me the area and the shape that I know I'm going to be foiling into. So I took my little sign here, I placed it down, I put some foil, I placed this on top of the foil, and I just wrote out the name. And it came out very nice, very sweet. So that's the sign. This here is also a finished card. It's a little shaker card. And I'm going to be putting a snowflake in this corner of this banner. And this is my second time around with this video, so things are kind of all over the place. So there's my snowflake. So what I did is I took the negative to this banner here, and I wanted to double up on it. So I cut out a couple of pieces and kept my negative from my cut. So this is my negative, and I know what I'm working with. I'm going to take my snowflake. I'm going to place it where I want to place it, and then I'm going to make a mark so I know that I can't put any of the letters this way, because my snowflake is going to go on top of it. Then what I'm going to do is trace out, and I've done it already. I traced out from my negative space onto the tissue paper. I traced out the actual shape. And then what I did was I made my line knowing I can't go this way. And I know there's a little decorative edge here on this end. So I kind of let myself know that now this is the space that I have to work in. And then all I did was took my shape, my empty shape, with my tracing paper, not tracing paper, tissue paper, and I went over the alphabet using what? Using this one? Yes, using this one. So what I did was I kind of wrote out the name, Auerbach. I wanted to see where my center was. My center was here. So I have 3, 2, and 3 letters. So that kind of gives me a starting point, where to start. So you start with your center, because then you want to make sure as you work your way out that your letters are kind of spaced apart properly. So that's all I did. I went to the R, and when I printed this out, I printed an underline underneath the alphabet, because I can't write straight, and the line really does help keep me straight, but it also helps when I have a shape like this, that I can kind of turn my shape and use these lines as a guide. So what I did was I went to my R, wrote my R, and I almost feel like this isn't the right one. But you get what I'm talking about. I kind of went around and put the name in. And then once I had it on my tracing paper, now all I had to do, and I used my negative piece to help keep the piece that I'm going to foil, to keep it stable. And I'm working on a hard surface. Now once I put my paper down, I could see exactly where that banner is, and I can line it up. And then I'm going to tape it in place so it doesn't move much. And with silver foil, I'm just going to foil the name. I use the second smallest, the turquoise pen. And then I'm just going to trace it out. And you don't have to press very hard. Probably in this process, the longest part is just setting yourself up and preparing. So there's Auerbach. It came out very nice. And And I'm going to take an eraser and hopefully not erase the foil. I want to erase this line. Okay, I'll finish erasing it later. And then all I have to do, because I wanted it to double up, I wanted it to be a little thicker. So all I have to do is attach it and then attach my snowflake. And the card is finished. Now, everyone loves getting a personalized card. I mean, they really feel special that you took the time to do it, and they know that you did it especially for them. So it makes them feel really good. I have this other almost finished card, and I knew I was going to be making a card for the Burnses. So I printed out the name, the Burns, and I took a ornament die, cut it out, and I needed to know exactly what I was working with as far as space, so I cut out a second one. And I cut out the center. So this one I didn't have a flag or a banner or a tag for. This I went right onto the project. And it was a little nerve-wracking. So if you do something like this, obviously do it before you embellish and put all the work in, because if it doesn't come out right, it's going to break your heart. So, try to do the foiling before you do all the other work. So that's what I did, because I had to give myself a template to know exactly how much room I was working with when I personalized this. And this is going to, I don't know, it's like in a silver white mood the last few days. But this will probably be cut out. My center will be cut out. And it will be a window card. And I'll have the ornament kind of hanging. And I think it will look pretty. And it probably will do a very small border in this blue also. And yeah, I think it came out good. And I basically did the same thing. And maybe by doing it a couple of times that will help. But what I did was found out what kind of space I'm working with. And let me get a new piece of paper here. See, I have my paper with lines, and I didn't even do any straight foiling. Everything had a shape to it. But so I just put down my template, and I marked out my space. And then I took this one. I think it was this one. I changed the B on it. No, it was a smaller one. But needless to say, I centered it. I wrote out the name. Then I got my little ornament here, placed it down, taped it into place, and then started foiling. So that's how I did that. So having a template, the negative space, is very helpful. If you decide that you want to kind of do a couple of alphabets off the computer, maybe you want to put the line underneath, because it's so helpful. You can make lines on your tracing paper, as I did here, and now I can have them meet up. And this not only helps with keeping your letters straight this way, it also helps the letters vertically. Because if I'm writing the L and the bottom and it helps horizontally and vertically. So then I would go to my eye. Again, I would make sure that my line on the tissue paper is on top of the line of the alphabet. And there is a little bit of work on top of each letter on this font, this copper plate Gothic font. If you look, and I'll show you the E. The E is a great example. If you look, it has like little, looks like little horns, you know, like instrument horn at the very end. I ignore that because there is no way if I try to get all of those horns to look the same, it's not going to happen. There's no way. So I'm just ignoring, just completely ignoring those little pieces at the very end. Now I'm going to do my S, and I'm going to put my line on the line on the paper, but I'm also going to look here, and my L and the R, it's parallel. So I know I'm pretty good, you know, as far as like, I'm not going to get anything really wonky. The only concern that I have is that my letters are all separated equally. And if it doesn't come out good, guess what? It's tissue paper. You erase it, or you get another piece of tissue paper. I mean, you can't really screw this up. Well, it's very hard to screw this up. So then, you know, this is how you would do it. You would, you can even do vertical. I did a card here, and I personalized it. I love this die, so I used it quite a bit. But I'm not really sure what I'm doing with this card. But this ornament was not an ornament. This ornament was actually a circle die that I cut out. I don't know, my lighting is so bad today. And then I took another die and I cut it out. And then I took a color that matches the background, and I foiled on that. So how I did that was, again, I took my negative space where the name is and just kind of, you know, like that. And then just went to my letters and, you know, tried to get them as even as possible. And again, it's tissue paper. If it's not straight or you're not happy with it, you can always erase and correct your mistake. You know, don't be intimidated. Don't feel like, oh, I can't do this. You know, this is something that I can't do. It's like, here I know my letters, they're not good. So what am I going to do? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another one of those shapes, and I'm going to put the letters in again. And now I know that, you know, I need maybe smaller letters. So I'll come down here, and I'll erase what's here. And we'll do the smaller letters, and we'll see if, you know, things fit better that way. Once I'm done with that, I'll have my cutout piece and do the same thing. Just foil onto it. So it's, if you have time to play around, that's fine. If you know the names of the people that you're sending them to, that's great, because then all you're doing is copying what the you know, computer printed out. But if you're not sure and you want to print out an alphabet, you could do that too. Even when you print out the name, though, try to keep that underline underneath the name, because that's really going to help. And if you're really good with the computer, you can do shapes. You can do circles, semicircles, you can do arches, you can do flag shapes, and print them out that way. So all you're really doing is you're just copying. You don't have to, you know, keep turning your paper to get those wavy words. I hope this was helpful. I know it's a lot to take in. It's a lot to see. Try to make this as simple as possible. Sometimes, you know in your head, but when you have to talk about it and verbalize the process, it could be a little difficult. So I really hope I made myself clear and showed you, how I do it and that it is very possible. And also with the foil quills, we definitely could use these on photographs. So, just write out Merry Christmas, obviously nicer. Put it on top of your photograph, put your foil down, and write it. Happy holidays, love from. So you can take your photo cards and you can actually do your foiling on top of those cards. And trying to think if there's anything else. Not that I can think of right now. I want to say thank you for stopping in. Thank you for all your support. If you like this video, if you like the work that I do, the ideas that I have, please like, subscribe, share, comment. I'll answer any questions that you may have. Until next time, stay well. And remember, it's the little things in card making. Bye now.